Hello and welcome to CX Today. My name is Charlie and today I'm delighted to be joined by Bruno Crowley, VP of Sales at Ultimate. Bruno, thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Of course, it's a pleasure to be here on this sunny day in London, and thanks for inviting me along.
Well, it's great to have you join us today for this CX Trends video where we're going to be discussing probably the biggest trend of them all in the customer experience space, and that is AI and ChatGPT. So I think maybe the best place to start this conversation would be to ask you, how have you seen the AI space evolve over the past few months, especially given the popularity of generative AI technologies like ChatGPT?
Oh, well, certainly quite a bit. One thing which I would caveat is that this recent advancements, we've actually been seeing this quite a lot over the past year. So we did a survey on trends in last year, and we actually had, I believe it was 92% respondents say their trust in AI had increased over the past 12 months. So we already saw this huge momentum. Obviously, with ChatGPT, what we've seen is that it's now catapulted into the mainstream, and suddenly the general public have access to all of this. One thing which I would possibly be quite mindful of, and I'm sure you're seeing it yourself in this series, there's a lot of overnight experts. There's a lot of companies that have been created in the past 6 months, and obviously incredible enthusiasm. But I think it's healthy if we all have a little bit of healthy cynicism and skepticism about some of these new products. And I know it's definitely informed our approach in everything that we release and develop. One more thing which I would add as well that we've seen a big change is previously it was very much dominated by much more conversational AI. So this is essentially recognizing patterns, making predictions. What we've seen now, which is really blasted in, is generative AI. So essentially, this is AI that is coming towards human complexity. The ability, as the name suggests, to generate images, sounds, text. And I suppose that's what's quite mind-blowing about everything that we're seeing here is that we've now access to human creativity. And that's what's so exciting. So I think as a whole, it's been hugely beneficial. Like people are now understanding it and really starting to embrace it. But again, I think just a healthy amount of caution as we approach these is always super smart.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've heard of a lot of companies phone up a vendor and say, "Oh, can I put ChatGPT on my phone or something?"
Oh,
Doesn't
yeah.
really work like that, does it? And I think it's great. But what is particularly excellent, I think, as you perhaps suggested within your answer there, is how much generative AI, how that has made people realize just how much more advanced AI has become within the enterprise, and it's increased the interest in it lots. And I'm sure at Ultimate you've been recognizing this. So I think maybe my next question to you would be kind of how is Ultimate evolving its product roadmap to meet these changes within the AI space?
So you're right, we did have a lot of interest in ChatGPT, and we did have customers who in fact called us up and asked when they could plug it in. So what was most important to us is that we would manage the security and the accuracy aspects of it. So we took our time. We decided to build in public with our community that we would document everything that we learned publicly on blogs. We would be unashamed about our mistakes, our learnings, and just really welcome our community in to build with us. And that was success because last month we launched UltimateGPT, so we took the name. What this is, in essence, is an LLM-powered bot, and this allows you to set up a bot essentially in minutes. How it works is that you connect an LLM, large language model, directly to an existing source of knowledge. So really simple, this could be your Zendesk knowledge base, your customer support help center, essentially any tool that you have for all of your data. You plug it in, which takes a minute, and immediately the LLM will crawl this and then it will release the correct answers immediately to your customers. So this is something that we can demo for customers with their knowledge base literally within minutes on a first call. And it means that customers who perhaps have never even approached AI before or automation immediately can roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, and immediately get rewarding answers and results from what they're working on. So another benefit of building in public, and also granting access to a free trial, is that we've been absorbing that feedback live weekly with our customers. So we've developed a number of things. Top of mind obviously was minimizing our hallucinations. So this was by, for example, adding more integrations so we can ensure it's much more accurate. It is adjusting the bot persona. So it's going to match the brand identity of whatever customer that we're working with. And then another thing, which I think we realized, and which is quite exciting for the human side of this whole element, is that this bot can also make the lives of your customer support teams much easier. So this means, for example, you can summarize conversations if it's escalated to an agent. They don't need to wade through hours of customer support queries. It means you can generate expressions really rapidly if you're building a bot or if you're training it. If you've got hundreds and thousands of similar ways of asking one question, which is really common, you're not trawling through all of that. You have an LLM bot which can detect all of that for you and essentially make the lives of your customer support team much, much easier.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, again, lots of really great stuff in there, from increasing the scope of AI and getting it onto allowing your businesses to get it onto their websites in such a quick speed of time is actually quite remarkable in how generative AI is allowing that. And I love the bit too as well on agent summarization. If you can summarize those conversations for agents, I can imagine the operational benefits that would deliver to a service team. And I think maybe there's quite a few differentiators in there for Ultimate. But this is a very crowded market now, the kind of customer experience AI space. How do you think the product roadmap that you've kind of laid out there will help Ultimate stand out in such a busy marketplace?
Okay. So there's a few things which I think are in our favor. First of all, as a company, we've been around for 6 years. We were in the space long before any others were. But our earliest adopters and earliest customers were those with very hefty enterprise needs. They were companies such as Finnair, Foot Locker, Lush, Zalando. This was not built for simple use cases, but actually quite complex meeting stuff and actually quite a high standard. So I think the fact that we've worked closely with those, they've also guided our product roadmap, our input, a lot of our strategy has really means that we are building to shape for similar, more complex customers. Another thing which I think is quite important is while LMs are really exciting and we're incredibly excited by them and our Ultimate GPT, I think you could reach a ceiling quite quickly if you're just focused on those. And I think what is important is that you have a partner who not only can offer this new advancements, but they also can offer the more traditional automation systems. So for us, how we see it and how we present it to our customers is that it's the perfect product mesh. You've got the speed and power of the LLMs coming together, but then you have our automation solutions which provide control, predictability, and really allow you to build a machine within your customer support process. And I think really it's those hybrid solutions, bots that are really going to be the future, and that is how you're going to take it to the next level.
And yeah, I think it's really fascinating to hear about Ultimate's approach to all of this. And you kind of mentioned a lot of the benefits already within your response there of how Ultimate GPT will benefit customer service operations and kind of the broader business too. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about the benefits that you're hoping your new approach to AI with Ultimate GPT? Can you tell us more about those benefits?
Of course. Well, I think one thing which just stands out immediately, and I've probably mentioned a few times, it's speed. So in the past, moving into AI, not only was it a deep discussion across departments because you were dedicating significant resources to this, it was a whole new project, something companies had to consider quite seriously. You now have the ability to embrace and test this technology essentially in minutes. You can come along with our LLM, adapt the free trial, immediately test it on some channels, some websites, and you immediately have that gratification and you're immediately blending in. So it wasn't a case of those weeks of training and setup. It's immediate go live. Another thing which I think is key and will also, I suppose, help bridge that gap, especially larger enterprises, is you're not reinventing the wheel. You're taking your existing knowledge base, also you're possibly understanding how effective your knowledge base already is. Like, I think that's some insights that will quickly be gathered for you. You're taking all that data, you're plugging it in, work's already been done for you. And immediately you're like, okay, I've immediately got advantage, I'm immediately taking that time off. And then one thing you were mentioning before, like shaving those few seconds, I think one thing which is key, and sometimes we forget about this human aspect in all of these AI conversations, is customer support. It's typically an industry with quite a high turnover. It's not always, I suppose, an area of the highest customer job satisfaction as you go through. Whereas now, not only are we making your life easier, but we're also opening up new career paths. So, for example, one thing we've seen quite commonly, people who would have worked with us initially as support agents, they were the first people in their entire company to embrace AI, to embrace GPT, and so on. And now what we're seeing is significant new career paths like customer support automation manager, bot trainer. A lot of very highly skilled roles are opening up, which is obviously much more rewarding work. And also means that a lot of the repetitive, painful manual tasks are all being taken away and being automated a lot more easy. And right now, employees get to focus on the more complex and what's more interesting. So I think that is quite powerful.
Yeah, I think there's lots of great stuff in there, but I particularly love that last one actually. That's interesting. We all know the problems that contact centers have with automation and for, not with attrition, sorry, not automation. And to give them, show them that there's actually a career here. It's not just a job that you take for 1 or 2 years before you kind of go for something else. There's actually a career path that you can plot out for them, and in a space which is really interesting, AI and automation. I think that's really incredible. But you know, there's lots of benefits as you've already laid out to this technology. Maybe let's talk about the challenges and limitations now. What should customers kind of be wary of when using ChatGPT for support, and what measures can they take to mitigate those challenges?
One thing which I think is important is it's to be careful who you're partnering with. So, for example, if you were just to plug in ChatGPT, you'd be aware that it is trained entirely on open source information. And this is where the term hallucinations comes in, quite common, which is just spouting absolute garbage at times. Yes, it can be incredible and insightful and rapid, but also you've no idea what's going to come out of its mouth. And this is customer support, this is your brand, this is your identity, and these are your customers where retention is key. So I think partnering with someone who's going to help you insert those controls. So for example, with us, it's ensuring that it's being trained on the correct data, that we have controls in place, that it's accessing your knowledge base. And it's for you to also understand, is that the most accurate source of information? Are my FAQs actually as useful as I thought they were previous? So I think that is the most important thing. And it's something that our team is heavily focused on, is that you have the relevant information available and that you ring fence it. And then should you not have the relevant information, rather than, an open GPT where they could say anything, that is escalated, rapidly to an agent, someone who can handle that problem correctly. So I think that's quite important. Another thing which, and like I said, our new UltimateGPT, it's very exciting. It's going to handle, vast majority of those repetitive cumbersome requests. But at the same time, the more you use it, you will reach a ceiling in its capabilities, because there still are a number of tools that you need traditional automation for. So there's a number of queries, the more complex, and oftentimes those more complex queries could be the ones that are more high intention for a customer. So you still need to partner with someone who gives you that control, but also someone who has those traditional automation capabilities, so they're able to still solve those. You're still able to move and improve your bot over time. And it's not a case that you are stepping away from AI or GPT. When you're training your bot, in the past, you had to create a lot of manual answers. There was a lot of work involved in training it to reproduce. Whereas what you can do now is that with your bot, you can use our AI to suggest those answers, to suggest all of those intents, and actually make training your bot quite seamless and quite rapid. So I think that is important thing to be careful on. But I think as a whole, it's an exciting time to be in AI. I think it's going to make the lives of your customers better. It's going to improve the lives of your employees. And on the whole, we're just beginning.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting. I love the example that you gave there of how you can use generative AI to train your bots. Like I remember hearing a few years ago about this an Australian bank that realized there were 2,000 different ways that customers asked them, "Can check my balance?" And to instead of plugging 2,000 various ways into your bot, to use generative AI as Ultimate is doing to again speed up that deployment, as we've talked about so much, is very interesting. But I think, yeah, it's been a fascinating conversation for me as a whole. I've learned so much. So thank you very much for joining me today, Bruno.
Oh, I hope so. And our pleasure. So good luck with the rest of the series.
Excellent. And yeah, also I want to say thank you to everybody for watching. Bye for now.
Likewise. All right. Thanks, Charlie.